Okay, so we're starting to strip now. And as you can see, I put on the first two strips, so that's the sheer, second strip, and then the feature strip, which really is, four strips all together. So essentially, I have done four strips on each side. So I'm a little bit, guessing at some of this stuff. The stems were a very big challenge. As I read about how to make the stems, it says you want this leading edge to be 1/8 of an inch wide. Well, there's no way it can be 1/8 of an inch wide with the angles, coming off of these last three or four stations. And so really what I arrived at here is a 7/16, which is substantially wider than 1/8 of an inch. But it seems to work. It seems to fit pretty well, very, very much with the flow of how the boat is coming together. So, and you can see I've cut them a little bit long, the strips. And the reason for that is I'm just going to come through and cut them off all at once, or, well, really probably when I get up to about, here, I'll cut them off, flush with the stem. And as I go, I'll work this stem, down, to accommodate the changing angle of the molds, because I assume that when these come in, they're going to be, at a slightly different angle. Probably what that means is it'll be similar, the 7/16, all the way along it, but it will be a more or a less severe angle, I guess, because this will probably flatten out. The back side of it will flatten out more, and it'll go from being like this to being like that to being like that, as we move through the arc. So at least that's the plan. So you can see I'm all clamped up on the far side. I just finished that clamp up of that feature strip, and this one has been done now for, I don't know, 2 hours maybe. So it's going to be interesting to see if I've got enough stock. I didn't think I would have enough, and that I would have to probably get some more to finish it out. And, who knows, maybe that's where we'll be. But, I wanted to at least see how far I got with what I have, so I don't spend a lot of extra money, and have waste. So for now, we're just going to keep plugging away and see if we can get to the end of the strips that I have, maybe tomorrow or Saturday. And then if I gotta go to lumberyard and get some more lumber, we will. Here's a better look at that stem. I think you can see it a little more in the light here. And so you can see there's I scribed a center line. I actually have the 1/8 inch marked, as I expected. I would have to cut this to a 1/8 of an inch. And then you can see, I have it scribed to the 7/16. I'm gonna have to scribe it the rest of the way for the 7/16. This stem was actually the one I had cut too short, but because I actually cut a stem to 1/8 of an inch, and it just wasn't working. I took part of that stem, I scarfed it off, and I scarfed it onto this stem. So right now I got a little bit of a hump right here. I'll probably just take that out with my hand plane, you know, so that the outer stem just fits nice and smooth across the top of that. But anyhow, I mean, it should be pretty strong. It's about a 6-inch or so scarf on a 3/4 of an inch high, you know, section. So again, that's pretty close to that 8-to-1, you know, scarf joint. Anyhow, so starting to move along. I think the next time, you know, I put the boat on camera, I will have the sides, I think, pretty well stripped out. I'll probably kick back on the camera before I, you know, start doing the bottom part. Oh, also, you know, you just kind of let the shear, you know, go at its own bend, natural bend along the hull here. So you can see, well, there's, you know, extra gap here between, you know, the where, you know, where the shear line will go, right? So this is the shear at midship, this one, but of course it's not shear, you know, throughout the boat. So what I will end up doing is building this out, you know, to the bottom of this where you can see the green, you know, I think all the way to here. So I'll probably come back about halfway on this one and strip it, and then do the same thing, you know, if I haven't stripped to the bottom of that mold with the first strip. I'll strip another strip here, and then I'll just go right down till I get to this this bottom. And then what I'll end up doing is I'll put a batten across that, so I get a nice smooth fair curve, and then I'll cut it off, probably with my oscillating saw. Anyhow, so we'll get there when we get there. That'll probably be the last thing I do before fiberglassing the outs. Well, the last stripping that I'll do before you know, doing the fiberglass, because you know, I want those on before I sand the hull, and I'll, you know, I'll do that cutting of it when it's off the molds, actually. So so anyhow, that's kind of where we're at right now, and actually starting to see the boat come together now, finally, after all the prep work that's been done. So anyhow, so there we are. Oh, so one thing I did want to discuss here, that I didn't talk about a minute ago, is putting on the feature strip. And you know, the feature strip is twice the width of a, you know, standard plank, and it's also made up of a lot of different pieces, right? So it's made up of walnut, maple, a piece of cedar, another piece of cedar, a piece of maple, and a piece of walnut, and then it also has these little walnut diamonds. And so walnut and maple are much harder woods than cedar, and it's all glued, and, you know, of course, A lot of the grains are flowing a little bit differently, and things like that. So it's a much, because it's twice as thick as well, much stiffer piece of stripping than the individual strips. And so putting it on was rather difficult. The hole may not look like it, but there's quite a lot of bend and twist and edge setting going on here, even though it doesn't look like it. And what took me by surprise truly was the edge setting of it. And the what edge setting is you have bend, which you can see, right? It's a curve. And you have twist, so you can see it twists in and out like this. Okay, but edge setting also is bending like that. So in this latter section, when I put the shear on, I just let it naturally sort of slope itself a little bit towards the bow and the stern, and then the second strip followed pretty comfortably in that same arc. But when I put on the feature strip, it was much stiffer and really did not want to go into the same shape as the other two had gone. And so I had to use some other clamps like these to kind of push it in and force it to conform to that shape. So if you do make a feature strip, I would recommend, it not be as wide, though I was able to get it to go, and it is nice looking. So, maybe you want to, wrestle with it like I did. But a thinner feature strip would, or a narrower feature strip, I guess, would, probably function a lot easier. And then perhaps you want to use some softer woods. Though, again, I mean, the woods that I chose are, just very beautiful. And, you kind of have to pay the price for that, right? So, anyhow, I do think that the rest of the stripping of the sides is going to go a lot smoother, because I'm going to use single, strips of cedar. And, as the first two went on, I expect them to be, pretty similar, and, that we're going to not experience the same kind of issue. So, more to come, though. Obviously we'll see when that happens. Well, so we're stripping, and you can see I've got, equivalent of about 14 strips on right now. So it's really 13, because the feature strip is a double wide strip. So anyhow, so right now we're building up both sides equally, and that is to kind of keep consistent pressure on the molds so they don't twist in there. At this point, I probably will put a batten across the top to keep them from sliding back and forth a little bit, but most of it's been relatively straight. We're going to start working into the bends here in the next 5 or 6 strips, so this should be interesting. Moving along on the hull. It's starting to get to the bend in the hull, and what that means is really got to watch for gaps in here. I mean, some of it, you know, will end up getting filled when after I do the first rough sanding. I'll do a gap filler, probably epoxy and sawdust, and then just kind of run over all the little gaps and cracks that might exist, and then sand her down real good and smooth before we put on the fiberglass. But right now, I think we've got, oh, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 20 strips on it, on the hole right now. And you know, a lot more to go. I'm imagining probably the next 6 or 7 on each side, so the next 14 or so will get us, you know, pretty much where through the bend areas. But I do think I'm going to run out before I, you know, get to the bottom.